It's a real tragedy. When you look at that package, we know that the result of that package is going to be middle-class tax increases. We know for sure that it includes provisions that are not targeted, they're not temporary, they're not related to COVID, and it didn't have to be this way. We could have had a bill that was, a fraction of the cost of this one that could have gotten bipartisan approval and support, but the Speaker decided to go in another direction. And so we are going to be saddled with a burden, spending burden, and a tax burden that is really indefensible from the perspective of what it actually accomplishes.
It's very concerning when you look at both what happened in the House and in the Senate. Speaker Pelosi and Chuck Schumer shut Republicans out of the process completely. In fact, President Biden was offered the ability to work with Republicans, and he chose to have a go-it-alone strategy as well. And that lets Americans down all across this country who wanted to see a package that was focused on helping families, on helping small businesses stay afloat, and on helping reopen schools. I think the question is, what in the bill is COVID-related, and what is a broader policy that should be discussed separately? And I think a lot of people have a concern that Speaker Pelosi took advantage of the crisis to fill the bill with primarily things that have nothing to do with COVID that should have been discussed separately. And again, our focus from the very beginning was, let's help families who are struggling with a targeted relief bill, not just sending everybody a check all across America, but to help the families who are struggling, as opposed to saying if somebody is maybe making more money than they were a year ago, they're going to also get a check. The other thing is there are millions of small businesses that have already closed, and it is devastating to see what some of these governors did to make it harder for small businesses to stay afloat, while there were states like Florida and Texas who kept things open and had different results. It's a shame that in this scandal involving Governor Cuomo, it's a scandal on multiple fronts. It's not just the sexual harassment scandal, which is very concerning, but it's also the scandal of what he did to seniors in nursing homes, starting with his order that went against federal CMS guidelines, forcing seniors who were COVID positive to go back into nursing homes and prohibiting those nursing homes from testing for COVID, led to thousands of deaths that should have never happened. The Select Subcommittee on Coronavirus Republicans back in June started asking Governor Cuomo for the data. He refused back then, called us names, seems to have a pattern of bullying, but he never gave those families an answer. We are continuing to fight for those families who deserve an answer. And so I would call on President Biden to rescind his designation of Governor Cuomo as the gold standard for COVID leadership. That's not the gold standard. That is an epic failure that led to the deaths of thousands of people, and Governor Cuomo needs to come clean with the American people, with the people of New York, parents, children who lost their grandparents and their parents, who demand answers, who deserve answers to that data.